We're going to seize their yachts, their luxury homes, and other ill-begotten gains. This legislative package strengthens our law enforcement capabilities to seize property linked to Russia's kleptocracy. It's going to create new expedited procedures for forfeiture and seizure of these properties. And it's going to ensure that when the oligarchs' assets are sold off, funds can be used directly to remedy the harm Russia caused in their help build Ukraine.
That was President Biden with his announcement today about new procedures for seizing and selling the assets of Russian billionaires. This could be the first seized Russian super yacht sold by the United States of America, with the proceeds of the sale going to Ukraine. The 254-foot super yacht named Tango is owned by sanctioned Russian billionaire Viktor Vekselberg and was seized in Spain at the request of the American government in the first week of April. Today, President Biden announced new legislation that would streamline the seizure and liquidation process for Russian billionaires' assets. The legislation would make it a new crime, quote, to knowingly or intentionally possess proceeds directly obtained from corrupt dealings with the Russian government. The proposal would, quote, improve the United States' ability to use forfeited oligarchs' funds to remediate harms caused to Ukraine by Russian aggression. The proposal would also double the statute of limitations from 5 years to 10 years in money laundering prosecutions. Joining us now is Stephen Welk, former federal prosecutor and chief of asset forfeiture for the Central District of California. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. When we look at that $90 million Russian yacht that could be the first one on the block for the United States, how does that work, assuming they get to the point where the United States has established to its satisfaction that it has the authority to sell that thing? How do they auction it off?
The way they auction off an asset that with this kind of value is this pretty much the same way that a commercial seller would sell the yacht. They'll hire a broker, they'll advertise it, they'll put it on the market. And so it'll be sold along those lines, and it will generally be sold for about what it's worth. The question is what it's going to be worth by the time they get around to that, not only because it's going to probably be a couple of years or so before they do it, but also because there's so many of these yachts being seized right now that the Western nations may end up flooding the market with super yachts, which is really going to limit the prices that they're going to gain when they're sold.
Yeah, that you can see that, but it's also not a concern of the United States. They'll be happy if they take $10 million for that thing, even though it was a $90 million boat, right? The government doesn't really care how much they get from it.
Well, that's one of the interesting things about the announcement that the president made today, because the point of the announcement was not just that he wants to make it easier for the government to forfeit these things, but he wants to take that money and pay it to help Ukraine recover from what's happened during the Russian invasion. And so that puts a real emphasis on how much money we're going to get for these things when they're sold. The real problem is it's a lot more difficult to forfeit these super yachts under the circumstances that we've got here than some of the people in the government would suggest. And that's because in order to, so now they've seized it, which means they've established to a judge's satisfaction that there's probable cause to believe that the ship is subject to forfeiture. But in order to forfeit it, they're going to have to file a civil complaint against that yacht in a U.S. court in the Washington, D.C., and they're going to send out notice, and anyone who claims to be the owner of that yacht, which will not be Mr. Vekselberg, it'll be the company that holds the yacht, they will have to come appear in that court and defend against the forfeiture. And that's going to be like a regular civil case. It can take 2 or 3 years or more to do that. In the 1MDB case, when we went after a $250 million yacht, we never even went to trial, and it took 3 years for that matter to be resolved. So it's a very time-consuming process.